pretty much what I sent you earlier, you know, a little introduction. I'm going to show people where the resource page is on the website and what resources are available there. I'm going to demonstrate how to make a mini greenhouse and demonstrate how the judging is done, because I think students will be very interested, and teachers also, with how the judging is done so that they know exactly what to expect. So, and then we open it up to Q&A, questions and answers. I see Rachel Stewart has joined us. Rachel, do you want to unmute yourself and tell us where you're from?
Hi, I'm from Gardner Edgerton High School.
So Ms. Hunting's students, one of Ms. Hunting's? Excellent. I am going to deliver your seeds tomorrow, I think, because there's so many packets going to Ms. Hunting. I thought, is it worth the gas? So I decided to just make a trip down to Gardner Edgerton. So if you hear her, you know, you can say, they're on their way tomorrow. She's going to deliver them to the office. So we're excited to have you. And we've got Anderson Strom from Ms. Sullivan's group. So he'll be joining us. And you're our only guinea pig students. So I hope you speak up with these questions and answers when we get to that part of the program, all right? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. I am Martha Nowak. I'm K-12 Engagement Coordinator here at K-State Olathe. And I have in front of me an array of materials that I have been scavenging in my recycle bin and other things. These are the types of seeds that will come to you. I may give out there from Burpee. And so spinach and loose leaf lettuce and also kale. So those will come to your teacher, and I will give the teacher some other baggies if they need to subdivide. I have smaller size baggies that it would be easy to do by teams. And so that's what we give you guys. We give you guys seeds. And then it's up to you to determine how much salad stuff you can grow in as small a space as possible. It's kind of like a mission to feed the world in 2050. How are we going to do that? So we need to make each acre count, whether it's vertical farming or whether it's horizontal, whether it's hydroponics. It's quite a challenge, and you guys are going to be the ones to actually make that happen. So what I have here in front of you are some containers that I came up with. This one is a milk container, milk jug, that I have cut alongside and bent it in to make a quasi-rectangular container. Of course, there's a standard Velveeta box. And then I decided that I would make something creative. So I took a 2-liter bottle or 1-liter bottle. Yep, 1 liter. And I cut a hole in it, and I thought, you know, we could make this for hydroponics. We could unscrew this and drain it off to the side, and you could put your solution in there, and you could make it into gravel and maybe use perlite or vermiculite to put some spaces in that gravel or sand. So if you wanted to do hydroponics, you could do that. You could do the same thing with this. This could be soil, or if you put a hole here for a drainage hole, that could be for hydroponics. I got really creative and decided tuna fish cans, let's go small. So I've got tuna fish cans that I cleaned out with soap and water because I was afraid they were going to stink up my house. And here's another box that I just take a regular box and I want to make it stronger. So I just folded it in. And there's my box for putting soil in. So those are some examples. here is my favorite, because it has my favorite ice cream on it, Bordeaux cherry. And I went and buy Aldi, and this is not a living plant because I wanted to make it easy to show on camera. And this is how the judging goes. So those are the types of containers I just found around the house. So you don't have to go buy anything. I do have something over here from Walmart, a seedling tray. And so what I thought I'd show you is how we do the judging.
Yep, and Martha, while you're getting set up for that, I'll add in there, you know, the year that we had done
Oh, please do, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. The year that we had done this, we just used a regular shipping box, so, you know, anything that comes in the mail, so it was an Amazon box, I think, and to your point, to make it stronger, folded the flaps inside, and then just lined it with plastic, so that could be, you know, a garbage bag or a, you know, sheet of plastic that you have, so that can make a little bit larger container. But because this contest is a shorter duration, it does not have to be something that is super durable, just enough to get you through those 90 days. So big cardboard box lined with plastic will do the trick as well.
It's a really good point, Casey. I appreciate your input. And for those of you who do not know already, Casey Isley is with Compass Minerals, and she co-sponsors this contest with Kansas State University. So Casey, do you want to talk a little bit about plant nutrition, or do you want to go on through the rest of the stuff? It's up to you.
I think if you want to go ahead and talk through the contest details and how it's measured, and then, you know, maybe I can get into some details about plant nutrition and that aspect to think of while they're growing.
It's going to be real important for you to grow as much as possible in as small a volume during that time period. It's most of the plants that I selected, the loose leaf lettuce, the spinach, and the kale, matures in about 45 days. So this is a good mixture to make sure that you get a good salad blend. And they require about the same requirements, but not quite. So that's where Casey's suggestions for certain amendments to the soil would be a good idea. What we do is you bring in your whole container. Let's say I tried for 45 days and this is all I could grow. It's actually spinach that I purchased from Aldi not long ago. And we come in, you bring in your container with a registration desk, and then we come and we snip it at soil level. So I'm going to pretend I am snipping it right at soil level. Price chopper bag. So you can take it home, and this is actually the metal that I did to keep it together. And we've got some dirt that came with it. But that is the biomass that I have grown for 45 days. So then the balance goes on, the electronic balance goes on, and it says we have so many grams. And we put that on your worksheet. And then on that worksheet, we also need to determine the volume of this container. So we measure the length times the width times the height. Or what I'm thinking is, if we have round containers, we might dump it into a square container, a cube container that would be easy to measure. But we do have the formula for determine the volume of a cylinder. So that's up to you, whatever container you use. We'll work with you. The next thing is, it is divided. So your mass is divided by the volume, and that's when we come out with some number. It might only be 0.68357 and, you know, go on to the very end numerically. And that is your number. That's your density of what you were able to grow in that size pot. So that's how we determine the winner. It's how much you grow and how small a space or volume. So the smaller the volume, the bigger your number and better chance to win. Does that make sense? I hope. I'm seeing some nods. Yes. Okay, well, we're going to have some question and answer time. Okay, let's say that I have these containers, but I'm worried about keeping them warm outside as the temperature gets cooler. Now, these do grow in the fall. These are fall plants. So they will do well in 60 to 80 degree weather, even down to about 40 degrees. But if you wanted to increase your chance of survival and keeping it a stable temperature, you might want to, and I might have you switch over to the screen. I have constructed a little mini greenhouse. Here is one of those seedling trays that you see at Walmart, Kmart, Target, anywhere. They have these seedling trays, and you might have some left over. And I want to make it into a little greenhouse. So I have taken coat hangers and I have unbent them. And I used I would recommend using pliers, and I straightened out the coat hangers. Of course, if you've got some other type of form, you just need a skeleton to put plastic on it. And I tried first just doing it by tension, and it flopped out and got me in the face. So I decided to use tape to reinforce it. So I took these, and you can see the tape that's on it. This one actually jumped the runner here. And you would attach it on one side and secure it, and then attach it on the other. Now, once you get the soil in, it probably will just stay just fine. But while I'm preparing for it, I went ahead and taped it just so it wouldn't flop me in the face. Coming off. Murphy's Law, always, when I'm doing something at home. All right. Once we get the tension here on the other side, I think that'll help. All right, so I've got like a little miniature covered wagon started here. I've got 1, 2, 3 little hoops, and we call this in the agricultural world a hoop garden or a high tunnel. So I've taken some saran wrap just to give you an idea. And I have not put this over, but you would want to tape it, or you could probably use a dry cleaner bag, you know, that your dry cleaning comes in. You could also use a clear garbage bag. If you're looking for heat, a black trash bag would be really good at night, and then take it off during the day when it warms up in the sun. So that's my miniature greenhouse. The idea is to keep what's in there the same temperature, or warm, and also the moisture keeps that plastic, keeps the moisture in. And then what I have up here is a little light that has a full spectrum light bulb in it. And I got it from, let me see if I can, I don't want to take it out because it's probably going to be hot. Let me get you one that I'll show you. I got them from Walmart. I had to order them online, but they came in a little 2-pack, but they're called full spectrum light bulbs. I'm not sure I can get this off without scissors. Luckily, I have some scissors. But it looks pretty cool. So it's got
And I'm
all
going to make
the
a
that you need.
Yeah, I'm going to make a point there too. I'm going to make a point there too, Martha, that is very important to make sure you have the full spectrum bulbs when you're doing
Yeah.
a grow light. Any
you're doing
LED
grow lights.
light will not do, right? So you
Okay.
definitely need to make sure it's full spectrum.
Makes a difference, doesn't it? Well, I did this. Go ahead.
I'm going to go grab one to show too. There's lots of different configurations for these, and you can find, if you don't want to put it outside because it's getting kind of cold at night, make sure if you're inside, you have some supplemental lighting, and it's really not as expensive as you would think to get something off the internet.
Right, I got this, this clamp lamp. This was $9.99, and then the light bulb was $4. So I got the whole thing for $14. And I took, you can either put it on a cabinet, a door, you know, like maybe a set of cabinets above a counter. I just took a box because I wasn't sure I'd be able to affix it to anything. And I put it on this box, and you could put it really close to your plants, but I punctured a hole. I just took a box because I needed something to attach it to. So that's what I did, was I just turned it on like that. Casey, did you have some other things to add?
Yep, so we'll see if it shows up with my virtual camera here or not, but you can kind of see I've got a square one that has the small LED type bulbs on the bottom. Maybe there you'll be able to see a little bit. So this one I just got off of Amazon as a grow light, and it has a hanger on it. So again, depending on where you're at with growth, you want your growth light to be closer to the plant. So you'll need to adjust the height as they grow. So it's not necessarily a heat source with a grow light. It really is just providing the light for the growth. But when you've got little short seedlings, you want that light to be pretty close down to them. But then as it grows, you'll want to be able to adjust and move that grow light further away.
Okay, sounds good. The only other thing I was going to do before I turn you loose to for Casey to talk about plant nutrition was to show you the website where you can find the contest rules and some other resources. So I'm going to take you to, gosh, how do I do this, Eric? I thought I had this on here, but I had a mouse. Maybe I was on here. I had it on Google. Oh, did you take the mouse with you? The mouse traveled. That's what happens when you don't trap those little beasts. Here we go. On Google, I've got, let's see, K-State Olathe. Here we go. So if you go to olathe.k-state.edu, you go to that website.
Are you going to share your screen on that, Martha?
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Let me see if I can share the screen. How do we do that? Probably back to this one. Share screen. And is it right there? Okay. Let's share. Thank you so much for the prompt, Casey. You've done this a lot more than I have. I'm still getting my Zoom wings. This remote learning has been a huge curve. Okay, if you go under K-12 programs, so under community is one of the tabs. We've got about, academics, professional development, research, and under community, it'll be under K-12 programs. And then it talks about all the programs that I offer, but specifically for grades, it'll be also under K through 5. It'll be under both of these, K through 5, Willie and the Wacky Salad Bonanza Contest. So if you click on that link, that purple link, it'll take you to the Salad Bonanza website or web page. And on here, it talks about how you can register. If you're just finding this resource now, you want to register. Registration does not close until September 30th. So September 30th is when we begin planting seeds. The contest judging is not till November 14th, but I am here for questions if you have some. We also have, and then November 14th is when we get together here. We're hoping, if COVID cooperates, here at the K-State Olathe campus. And we will have our Food Science Institute, extension folks. We'll have some of our researchers showing what they've been working on. The Olathe Horticulture Research Extension Center will be coming also and showing some of their programs. Compass Minerals will be here to talk about plant nutrition. And if you go, so that's the 14th from 1 to 3. And so sometime during that time period, you come, you bring your plants. We have the determining of the biomass and also the volume used to grow in it. And the volume for hydroponics would be, we measure the liquid that is used, that is recycled through. So that's on the 14th. And then we announce the winners, and the winners get a plaque that says, I succeeded, I won the middle school division or the high school division or the elementary school division. We also have one for communities. We've got a group that wants to do a group from Cedar Lake Villages always sends over something. They're interested. So maybe their plants will survive this time and we'll get them to come. But community groups also, not just K through 12. If you look on the contest rules, that's a link, and it tells you all about, it gives you the 2020 rules, the growing period. It's nothing more than, I've just given you the short version, but that's a printed version where you could go through and it tells you exactly, how it's done. It also lists the next generation science standards that we're covering in this particular activity. Of course, if you do the miniature greenhouse, you're doing one of the science and engineering practices. So I haven't even listed those yet, but you can accomplish a lot as a teacher if you take on this project. Okay, let's go back maybe and go to cultural practices. And this is where you write down, this is kind of your lab report. And this is where you put down, all the people's names and the advisor, the planting date, and then this is the important part, seed documentation. I will give you the seeds, so we don't have to worry about different kinds of seeds growing at different rates. Maybe we have some fast plants or something that'll beat everybody out. So no, we're gonna start with the same seeds. The challenge is to do the rooting medium, decide whether you're doing soil or if you're doing hydroponically. What type of amendments, and this is where Casey will tell you about the plant nutrition and how important that is, and also the lighting, the temperature. This is just basically a documentation. This is how I did it, and this is how I succeeded. But if you want to make it better next year, at least you have written it down and you can say, oh, on day 5 I did this, or oh yeah, that's right. I did put the seeds in on wet paper towels and made sure the ones that germinated were the only ones I planted. Some people do that. Some people just dump the seeds in there and wish for the best. And we've had good success with that too. So, it's up to you. There are all kinds of resources down here. Here's Kansas State Extension in Johnson County. So they have some suggestions on how to grow things in containers, how much sun, soil, the fertilizer, that type of thing. Here's one on Planet Natural Research Center. And of course, they've got some advertisements, but they've got some great things here for raised beds and suggestions, hanging baskets and such. So if you wanted to go places with that, that might be helpful. There's a tower garden challenge, which talks about in 5th grade, oh, looks like that one is not gonna work out. Let's see. No thanks. Let's just block that. Oh, the link is broken. I'll need to change that link. It was Tower, if you Google Tower Gardens, it'll come up, and I'll have to change that link. Then there's something on loose leaf lettuce. And, oh boy, no thank you. Advertisements, when it's live like this, they always, okay, why can't I get that off? Here it is, okay. So this is the loose leaf blend lettuce, and it gives you some hints on how to grow it. It tells you a little bit of background, and it gives you a growing calendar, growing information, product details, reviews, so that growing information will be very helpful to you. And then, so these are all the resources that are available. They go through each one. There's space hybrid spinach. I gave you the links that are the burpee, which are the type of seed that I'm sending you. Come on, here we go. And then it does the same thing. It tells you how to grow spinach. They've got little videos that go along with it, because of course they want you to come back and buy their seeds. They want you to be successful. So direct sow seeds, or how do you plant and grow lettuce, growing kale. So these are all different ones that you can use as resources, since we can't go to the library right now. All right, so let's go back. Okay, I think that's about it. Casey, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that you can share whatever you would like to, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers.
Great, thanks, Martha. So Compass Minerals has been sponsoring this for several years now. Really enjoy the opportunity to work with students and teachers to kind of bring home the idea of growing your own food. Where does your food come from, even if you're not growing all of it, right? It doesn't just magically appear in the grocery store. There is a whole value chain and production system that goes behind food production. So as you look through this contest, it can be a little overwhelming because there are so many decisions and so many scientific variables that you can test. But that's also one of the things that makes it so exciting, because there are so many variables that you can test. So it's a great one to bring into the classroom. You can simplify it down, or you can have those different variables that different groups are testing out. So at Compass Minerals, I'm a product manager at Compass Minerals in charge of our global sulfate of potash business. So we produce a potassium source that is low chloride that's used mainly in specialty crop production. So 80% of the world's almonds are grown in California, and 95% of those almonds use Compass Minerals sulfate of potash. So if you're eating an almond, you're eating potassium from our production facility right next in Ogden, Utah, that uses minerals from the Great Salt Lake. So just really exciting to be part of that value chain and that system as we grow mineral, or as we grow crops to feed the world. The other thing we have is an R&D facility in Stillwell, Kansas. So just south of Overland Park on Highway 69, we have a whole group of scientists that are working every day to find new ways to more efficiently get minerals into the plant so that the plant can utilize those minerals and create more of whatever it is that plant needs to create, whether it's more almonds, bigger almonds, using nitrogen more efficiently so it's not leaching out of the soils and going down the river into the Gulf. All of these different variables where we look at products that might extend the shelf life of plants, of those final products. So just lots of great breakthroughs that we've made and new products that we're looking at every single day. So one of the things that you shouldn't forget about is, in all of the variables that you have to look at, don't forget to feed the plant. So just like you need to eat every day, your plant needs to eat every day. And a lot of those nutrients that it needs will come in the medium, so in the soil that you give it. So if you're buying an off-the-shelf soil, it will have nutrients in it already. That potting mix is going to have nutrients there. And sometimes it will actually have fertilizers mixed into it, especially if it's a potting mix and not just a black soil. And those straight out of the bag will do a pretty good job for what we're doing here with the leafy greens. However, if you really want to go above and beyond, think about doing additional feedings throughout. So Miracle-Gro, everybody's familiar with, has foliar options. So that would be something you can either mix in with your water to fertigate, which we call irrigation with fertilization, called fertigation, or it has an option where you can spray it on the leaves of the plant, and that's a foliar feeding. And so we call this spoon feeding in the fertilizer world. So rather than dumping it all into the soil before we plant the plant, giving it just what it needs every day. So I kind of like to make the comparison there. It's like taking a multivitamin. You don't want to take all of those nutrients that you would have over time and just take them all in one day. Your body can't process all of that. And so we take a multivitamin every day. It's a little bit of all of those little micronutrients that we need. But as you spread them out over time, your body and the plant are able to utilize them better. So think about the options that you have there, or if it's something that you as a student or in your classroom really are excited about exploring micronutrients, go ahead and give a shout out to myself or to Martha, and I can get you connected with some sample products as well. We've had some teams before where they tried different products on, different teams tried different products to see and compare, where all other variables were constant except for what they fertilized with. So that's where you can kind of bring your experimental methods in and see, well, which one does better and how does it perform? So I think that's been fun for me to see. I did this with my son several years ago, and way back when I was a sixth grader myself, I turned my basement into a growth chamber and did a very similar experiment looking at micronutrients impacts on green bean growth for a science fair way back when. So just really fun to see how the nutrients impact the different plants, and definitely a factor that a lot of people would overlook with all of the other things going on here. You've got your, what kind of box do I need to put it in? What's the ratio of seeds I use? How often should I water? How warm should it be? How many hours of light every day? In all of that, don't forget the nutrients that your plant needs. On a global basis, just to tell you the impact, synthetic fertilizers, so fertilizers that people make, the companies like mine make, account for 50% of global food output. So we would reduce our food supply by half if we didn't have synthetic fertilizers. So it's a really big part of the food production system, and it's really important if you're going to get into ag and food production to understand how fertilizers play a part. So Martha, I don't know what else you had planned next. There's my spiel.
I thought I'd open it up and see if we have any questions, because we have an expert on plant nutrition in Casey Isley. I can help you with some creative problem solving. And I'm sure some of our teachers out there, our educators, can also say, this is not going to work, or this might work. You can offer some suggestions. So I see Meg has just joined us. So good to have you, Meg. This is being recorded for the benefit of all of you, and we will post it on the website as soon as I can get communications and marketing to put it up there. But we'll have to kind of edit. I'm sure there's some bloopers I've done in there, like the coat hanger kind of falling off, but maybe that just makes it real. So anyway, at this point, I'd like to know if you have any questions. You can see up here, if you joined us late, there are all kinds of planting containers. But thank you, Casey, for giving us a really good background on how important plant nutrition is. As a resource, I think it's fabulous that you've offered that, you know, if you want some samples, you can try it. You can say, here's some that we tried with plant nutrition, and here's stuff that we did not add the plant nutrition, and take the winner to K-State to be judged and win a plaque. So at this point, if you have any questions, it might be kind of nice to put it in the chat box. So if you are new to Zoom, if you take your cursor and put it down to the bottom toolbar, just above your regular Google or Mac toolbars, the taskbar, it'll pop up and you can type in a chat question. Or we've got such a small group, maybe we just unmic the microphone and just go ahead and ask. So if there are questions from Rachel or Anderson or Meg or Athena, give us your questions. What could possibly keep you from coming and doing this fun activity and growing food for your Friday night dinner? Well, 46 days from now.
Well, I don't have any questions. I just want to say this was a great reminder. It's been a couple of years since my students have participated, and it sounds like it's changed just a little bit. So this was a great refresher for me. I know Anderson's going to be excited about doing this. I'm hoping some of my other students will get involved with it as well. But I needed to let you know that I have another meeting, and so I'm going to have to jump off at this point. But Anderson and I will be in contact with you as things get going.
Thanks for joining us, Athena, and we're looking forward to your product and the fun tales that come with it.
Hi, this is Meg from Gardner Edgerton High School. Rachel is one of my students, so I was on a previous meeting and that's why I got here late. But Rachel, thanks for being here and getting all the information for your team. I'm excited to see how things go. I think we have maybe 8 teams competing this year, and most of those are individuals, but we have a few sibling groups that are able to compete together. So thank you, Martha, for offering the opportunity again. We're excited about it.
I'm going to deliver your seeds tomorrow. I will take it down to the office so you can start subdividing, because I just showed earlier, these are the burpee seed packets, and this kale has 2,000 seeds in it. So plenty. The spinach has 300 and the lettuce has 1,500, but I will give you plenty of seeds for your 8 teams. And then I'll give you some little plastic baggies to package them, pre-package them if you want to. And you know, you can even put an envelope and tape it to the front of the door of the school and say, students, come by and pick up your seeds. You know, and if they have their name on them, it could be that easy.
Yeah, it won't be a problem at all to get that distributed. So thank you for bringing it out here. I was going to email you to find out what would work best. So thank you.
I'm thinking that many seeds, I think I'm going to hand carry it, because sometimes I don't put enough. One year I didn't put enough postage and it came back and I went, oh no. So I think this is a better solution for a large group such as yours. Have you got any other questions for me or for Casey? Go ahead, Rachel.
I was wondering, it's a question for Casey. Do plants have like a favorite food? Like, are there certain minerals that are like really super good for them or something?
You're muted, Casey.
See, even the Zoom experts forget sometimes, Martha. So yeah, that certainly is true for plants, just like it is for people. So you know, the USDA gives us guidance on what our plate should look like, how much protein, how many carbs, you know, very little sugar, for example. So it's the same thing for plants. So we have macronutrients and micronutrients. So the big three that you talk about with plants are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So we use the elemental symbols for those when we talk about them, and you'll hear in the ag industry NPKs, and that's really just the letters for nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. So those are the minerals that the plants need the most of. They're the building blocks for a lot of cellular material, so they need more volume of those. That doesn't mean they don't need the micronutrients, right? So the micronutrients are very important to build very specific things and help certain pathways in the plant. So there are, I'm trying to remember the number now because I don't deal with all of the micronutrients every single day, but I want to say 16 micronutrients, but it's the same things that we think about. Zinc and magnesium and nickel, cobalt, molybdenum. So all of these funky little minerals that sometimes are even hard to produce, the plant needs all of those. And certainly if you're looking at an over the, you know, let's say over the counter, but you know, just an off the shelf fertilizer product, it probably will not have all of those tiny little micronutrients available to it. Most of them are going to give you those NPKs, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So might be something to look at, you know, and do some research on. Those leafy greens that we're growing, is there something they might need more of? But again, if you're starting with a potting mix or a black soil, you're most likely going to have enough of those things. If you want to give yourself a little bit more of a boost, then finding a fertilizer that has a micronutrient package in it, you will get better performance from that.
Does that answer your question, Rachel? Good.
So we always joked in my family growing up. I have a cousin who's 6'5", and my mom jokes that he grew that tall because he ate cashews all the time. And come to find out, all of these years later, tree nuts actually are, a lot of them are complete sources of protein. So they have all of the proteins that you need to make all of the building blocks. And so it's kind of a joke we have that Mom didn't know she was actually right.
Mom is always right. Any other questions? Anderson, have you got any questions for us? Or anybody else? Just unmute yourself and start right in. Okay, then.
Might be thinking of
Oh, Anderson's got one. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Anderson.
Are we gonna be planting more than one different kind of plant? I feel like that.
Yes.
You already said it, but.
Yes, I am glad you said that, Anderson. I alluded to it, but I didn't specifically say, because it's in the contest rules, that you have to have at least one of each type of plant survive. You might only have one that survives, lots of spinach that survive, or lots of kale that survive, but not so much of the other ones. Probably because they have different nutrient requirements. But the challenge is to grow all three types in one container, in one community container, And even if only one survives, you are not disqualified. You do have to have one survive of each type. But that's the benefit of using, you know, a good number of seeds. We're not just going to put one of each type in each pot and see what works. We're probably going to put, oh, let's see, scientists usually do 10 at least, you know, to go into something to get a trial run, to collect data about a hypothesis. So you will have plenty of seeds. It'll be up to your teacher to subdivide the seed packets that I send, and right now it looks like we've got plenty of seeds on hand. So yes, all 3 seeds must go into the same container. Does that answer your question, Anderson?
Yeah, thank you.
Have you got any other questions to ask? That was a good one.
So Martha, I think a couple of other watch outs after judging this contest for the past couple of years. Some of the things that we have seen and kind of lessons learned is, one, making sure that if you do have your plants outside, that you are keeping a close eye on the weather. We're going to quickly get into a time of year where it gets cold in Kansas. We had some schools, I think, one year that put their plants up on the roof and didn't realize how windy it was up there. So just be mindful of where you put your container and what kind of environmental conditions it's in, that you don't overheat your plants and you don't freeze your plants. And you're gonna have to keep an eye on that every day and be especially cognizant as we get into the colder months. And the other one is making sure that they're open. So I think we had seen a couple of 5-gallon buckets that were used, but 5 pounds of soil does not actually fill up a 5-gallon bucket. And so the plants were really, really low down in that bucket and weren't necessarily getting as much light as they could be because they were kind of buried inside of the bucket. So be careful how tall the sides of your container are above the level of the soil, because that will also impact how much light. So most important thing for plants, even above your NPKs, is light, air, and water. Those are really the top 3 things that your plant needs. So if you don't take care of those first, the other factors aren't going to matter as much. So be very careful of the light, the air, the water, and also that temperature.
And I'll give a demonstration, an example of that. If you were to take this Sterilite and you only put in 1 inch of soil, you're still cutting out some of the light as it goes, the sun rotates, or actually the earth rotates, but you're cutting out. This is not that clear. It is clear, for a Sterilite container. What I would do instead is, if you've got this container, maybe do an insert of cardboard so it rests on that ledge that's right here on the side. And then you would elevate your soil to only take the top 2 inches of this container and then poke holes so it can drain down into the bottom. There are all kinds of ways you can do this. But you don't want to have, they're only growing for 45 days. So you don't need that much soil. You need that many nutrients. So if you can decide how to do that, how to be creative, then I think you'll have a good time with this contest. Maybe be the sustainable farmer in your house. You might keep on going with these seeds and say, okay, every Friday we can cut a few more because I planted them 1 week and then the next week and then the next week, and pretty soon you can have salad year round. So do you have any other questions that Casey or I could answer for you. And you can always email us. We're here. My contact is there, and I can send it on to Casey. But her email is also listed on our resource page as part of the contest, because Compass Minerals is kind enough to co-sponsor. They bought the seeds and they bought the light kits for the elementary schools. So, you know, and of course the award plaques. We do a lot of the stuff here at K-State when people come, and we have almost like a career fair at the end. There are lots of different careers that are possible through plants, whether it's horticulture, developing GMOs, working with plant nutrition, working as ag business. There are people that are actually farming algae and creating fuels out of that and filtering our water. So it's amazing what you can do with possible career choices. I've got a whole big list. That's just a very small example. You're not limited to being a farmer. And I'm saying that very tongue-in-cheek because I don't think farmers are limited at all. I think they are incredible. Without them, we wouldn't have the food that we have. And they're doing all sorts of things with GPS and the way they plant their fields and finding which parts of the fields are better for certain types of crops. They actually they program the tractor to plant in a certain way, and so many seeds per, I don't know, acre. So Casey can tell you a lot when you show up to have your container judged. And we will also have some other people on hand that you can talk with about certain careers, and not limited to, I mean, that's even research or becoming an educator. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this. You can always email your questions to us. And I'm going to say, I think we've kind of asked all the questions, unless you want to add anything else, Casey.
I think we've covered it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. This has been fun. It's fun for me to kind of kick it off and have a resource that you can get to. And you will get your seed shortly, okay? Thanks. Have a good day. Okay, in the meeting.